I think this is a button, no? Very good. User experience, it's important, no?
Yes, it is.
You're live. Mr. Bennett, can we check if I'm not yelling? Okay. I think too much.
Yes.
Okay. Now it should be better. Now it's better?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, the topic is why NFT sucks, and actually it's a joke, obviously. I don't think it sucks, it's just very complicated. People get confused, they buy, they lose money, and everyone thinks it's a scam, and that's the biggest problem, I think, in the space right now. And specifically for you guys, because I know Bennett very well, and I know there is a lot of, like, a huge space of artists who actually artists from the word art, not from the word scam. And now in NFT is very little of people who create, there's a lot of people who try to gather money. And I think it's very important to understand that NFT is a technology, so, and it's built on blockchain, and there's a lot of users and consumers of the technology. So when people think about NFTs, they usually try, like they come up with some ideas from what they see in the space, Adidas who launched collection or someone else, and they try to associate their art with that, and because of that, that creates a lot of confusion. So in this lecture, I'm gonna show you and explain how I see digital ownership from the perspective of artists who create art, one-on-one art, and they actually work for that, maybe on spare time, full-time job, but basically they create. They don't think more about money, they think on the process of creation. Who I am. Actually, like, I tried to shrink my bio because I'm like the stuff I'm doing mostly before 5 months ago is completely unrelated to what I'm doing right now. I mean, only software part is kind of related. Again, I don't want to talk about how much I traded, how much things I did. I just want to say I did it for learning purpose only. And now I'm not actively trading. Of course, I'm buying and selling a little bit, but like I'm mostly in the learning process to understand how to use the technology to bring the value. Yeah, in the spare time you can make a lot of money, but it's not the goal. I do NFT advisory. I help people to launch their collections and projects, and but it's not my pure interest here. And disclaimer number one, it's not financial advice, obviously, and like I don't really care, I don't sell you anything, and for me the intention is just to educate you, and you guys, artists, you can go and come up with what you think you can create on the chain. So I don't really know when people come to me and ask, it's like, wow, that sounds cool, let's do something. I was like, I don't know what to do, like you're an artist, you tell me. Like I just understand the space, but now like there's a million ways to use it. So I'm not selling you anything, I'm just selling you ideas and learning experience which I got. Disclaimer number two, I have got them tons of gifts because I'm feeling like most of presentations are very boring, so if someone has allergic reaction, please be aware of that. Okay, so first of all, who thinks that NFT suck and it's like a scam or something like that? Raise your hand. Or no one? No one. Okay, everyone else probably is on the stream and gonna ask me a stupid question at the end. Not stupid, but contradictory. So why actually NFTs suck and why people, I don't know who is this guy. I think he's inventor of Cardano, but I just like this spec. First of all, because crypto kind of sucks right now, right? There's the space, the people who are in the space of crypto, they're a little bit crazy. They speculate a lot. And because of that, that was my initial reaction when like first I've heard of NFT and someone buying crazy stuff. I think it was 1 year ago. I was hearing, okay, there was like some shit coins, Ethereum and like specs, and someone bought it like for 60 million, 100% is some kind of like a speculation, because that's what I think of crypto. So for that, this was my mind thought before I got into NFTs. I was like, okay, crypto sucks because people speculate and they just try to get more rich on these speculations. There is a lot of whales. Then crypto traders suck because they do that, and then crypto traders buy NFTs, so which basically means that NFTs also suck. That's what I thought, without going too deep into the idea of NFT. I didn't even read this time what is NFT. I wasn't interested because of that. That was for me a blocker. I was like, okay, NFT, crypto, whatever. It's like, it's not my thing. So is NFT is a shitcoin? Like basically shitcoin, I call all those coins which has no basically anything behind it. It's just people trade and they create a lot of speculations there. Let's try to figure out. First, it's important to understand what's the difference between all these crypto coins and money, and like why people do what they do. So the money, I took it from like an Investopedia or something. It's a medium of exchange. So it allows people to obtain what they need to live. This is how we use dollars, euro, and everything, right? You exchange your labor for US dollars or euro, so you can buy more wine. This is how it works. For shitcoins, you buy shitcoin and then you can sell shitcoin. That's pretty much the whole game, right? When people speculate on coins, what happens is that they kind of invest in that, believing that there will become a utility behind it. So later on, we will be able to buy with this coin something because of A, B, and C, some events happening. That's why some blockchains like Ethereum and Solana, they are quite popular nowadays, because on top of them, there was NFT came up, right? So now to buy NFT, you can't buy it with US dollar. You have to buy Solana or Ethereum or Tezos. So apparently after that, there came up a new layer for shitcoins. Like now you don't only trade, you can actually buy something. And then we still yet to figure out what is this something and why we actually need it. But there is underlying product, which kind of we can assume that we need to live. So then the question is, if we have fiat currency, fiat is basically, I mean, all the currencies which we have, like a US dollar, whatever, which is centralized by banks. And we can buy wine. So can I buy wine with an NFT, right? It's like, unfortunately, you can't buy with NFT. So then the question is, yeah, it's not money, right? It's like, it's a lower level. You have money, you exchange your labor to money, so you can buy the goods, and NFT itself, it's a very different thing because it's a good itself. And now we come to the second topic, why it actually suck, NFT. Because it's goddamn confusing. It's like no one actually understands what's that. Like when we understand the concept, but the technology is so open and free to everyone, that people come up with very weird ways of using that. And like every day you wake up and there is a mass adoption happening here and there, and you still like, you can't catch what happened last week, and then there is something new happening. And then you have constant fear of missing out, and you constantly like have to learn to just understand what's going on in the space. That creates a lot of confusion. So what is digital ownership, these non-fungible tokens? It basically means that one item of NFT is not equal to another one. It's like, it's simple like that. If you have crypto or you have dollars, you can always, like, if you sell dollars, you know a supplier and you can go and buy dollars. And then if you lose $1, another $1 is going to be the same. With NFT, non-fungible tokens, it basically means that every token has an attachment of some URI where we store metadata, where we have your image, which basically means even if you lose your image, you sell it, when you buy the next one from this collection or another collection, it's not going to be the same. Like, no matter what happens, it's a different block with different image, it's different story, which creates a lot of difference between cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies you can split, divide, resell, and you can always like go back and forth with the trading. With NFTs, especially with the limited supply collections where you have like 10 pieces of art, 20,000 pieces of art, that's how basically the general art works, right? So if Bennett, for example, will create a collection of a physical art and it's going to be 1,000 pieces, and suddenly he starts producing art, like, and people like, and they see value in what he's creating, his art may become very, very expensive because the supply is very limited. And if he keeps burning his work because he got mad crazy or whatever, it will even more create hype over his collection. So that kind of explains a little bit on the high level why the space is quite crazy right now. Actually, this stuff is from, it's a painting of my sister who also draw here sometimes. But this is the question I kind of get a lot, is people ask if someone will steal my work if I submit it to NFT, like what's going to happen with my work? And
sorry, there's one problem in YouTube.
Yeah.
They can't see
I don't know why it freeze the first. We're still in the.
We're in the first slide.
And the audio is a bit.
Oh yes.
It's a bit loud.
Okay, audio I'm fixing. 1, 2, 3, and then screen capture. Not this one. Not this one. I know what's happening. Very simple. Because of this. We're gonna fix it right now.
The audio is still a bit loud.
Okay.
Not loud, but it's like too near from the.
Got it. I'm gonna fix it right now. I hope so. Real-time stream fix. My designer will be proud of me. I think he will kill me for such better, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I did my best actually. Can you check if everything is alright?
Yeah, sound and yeah.
Image is fine, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we store image. We store these JPEGs on the chain. So which basically means you can always go through the history and see who was the original creator. People still can steal your stuff, but it's the same thing like when you post it on Instagram. And there are a lot of cases when people steal commercial rights and they actually can't prove anything. So yes, people can steal your work, but it's not different from any other digital space where you store it. And I think the most important part is very difficult to steal the story. It's the same thing when people create their Instagram and then their Instagram becomes more popular and people create clones of Instagram, you know? Usually it happens when for hot girls, celebrities, and like all of that stuff. And the same for artists. That's why when people invest into art, they don't invest in the pure art. Art may be beautiful, but they invest in the story, in like everything around it. And even if someone is gonna copy your piece of art, some bit in a chain, but he is gonna be unknown and there is no links connected and there is no history of art because everything can be stored on the blockchain and you can see the story. His collection will not be sold ever. That's how the space works.
It's, you can see the.
Yeah, I see, but I think it's kind of not sure how much I can do here. Someone is gonna.
Okay. Doesn't adapt to the.
Yeah, I think it's okay. People will see my calendar. Yeah, next topic. My art is not a stupid monkey. It's like, it's another concern which quite often I hear is people compare their art to collectibles. And collectibles is just one piece of many different ways of using NFTs. And yes, this has right now biggest value because of communities, but you shouldn't mix it up. You shouldn't compare oranges to apples. When you sell your one-to-one pieces, you do not compete with collectibles. They have different purpose, they have different audience, and they have different utilities in your art. Yeah, actually, this is another fun stuff which costs a lot of money, but this is not the purpose of this specific talk. If you want, you can ask me later about all these collections, why people buy it, crypto shit and different stuff. Yeah, if you check, there's a lot of fun there actually, and people buy it for crazy money, which doesn't do any good for the space. And the same thing, it's like you do not compete with all these collections, you create. And the same thing in real art, like art space. If you draw and you paint, you create, you don't compete with the artists around you. You just like go with the journey, you do what you like, and that's pretty much it. If you will keep thinking that I'm not gonna enter blockchain and NFTs because I'm gonna compete with other collections, I mean, this is mindset of, I don't know, even for real art, it's the same thing to say I'm not gonna paint because there are so many people to paint right now and I'm gonna lose and they already make money. It's confusing. it's the wrong mindset. It's just a technology which you can use, and especially right now, because it's very early, you can leverage a lot of this technology. Yes, exactly. My next point is goddamn very early right now, still. It's very early, and when people say this, oh, I'm late to the train, I want to say that I bought my first NFT 5 months ago, and I spent a lot of time studying, learning, and I keep learning and studying. But even right now, every emotions you feel in this specific moment when you are like, oh, I don't understand that, it's not my thing, it's basically exactly why the whole space is so, so scammy. There is very little of good quality artists because they have the same feelings as yourself. And it is bad and it is also good. It's good because it creates opportunity for people who are keen to explore, create, and try to understand the space. Because no innovation happens when everything is super clear, right? It's the same thing when web was invented, there was a lot of crazy applications, but those which are sticked around, obviously it's not all of them, they created very, very big business. Yeah, the question is like, why should I do my art on NFTs if it's just a bubble and it's gonna crash? And the right question, why people would buy your art? Like, if you really believe that you deliver the value to people and you believe that your piece of art on blockchain costs money, then I think everything else is not important. But if you don't understand the space and you try to sell someone your piece of art on blockchain, on NFT, and you don't know why you do that, whoever buy your art, he will be talking to you and then he will feel that you are scamming him. That's the thing. And it's true for everything. If you create a product and you don't believe that your product which you create is valuable, you basically lie to people. It happened to me a lot. I invested in one-to-one art pieces, and then I would talk to founder, to creator of the piece of art, and I was like, so did you sell commercial rights? And he was like, I don't know, like, he doesn't understand what he's selling. So even though I enjoy his art, I think it's important to know what you sell and why, because we all have the same questions. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your thoughts about selling the intellectual property with the artwork?
Yes. It is very good topic, but I think it's the same like in physical space. What's your opinion about selling your commercial rights? I think it depends on what kind of art you create and how much you have concern on showing your art in advertisement or other context, because the problem with commercial rights is that once you sell it, like, you don't know where it's going to end up. While there is a big benefit of selling commercial rights because people will want actually to use and support you and maintain you as a personality, as a creator, there is also a high risk for that. As far as I know, majority of one-to-one artists, they try to keep to them like commercial rights. On some platforms, they require you, if you sell art, you actually sell commercial rights, because they just structure it that way. So it's very important when you upload your art as an NFT through some platform, you need to understand what kind of requirements a platform gives to you, because maybe in the agreement, when you sign, okay, upload the art, they will sell commercial rights and then people can use them. My friend is selling 3D art and he was selling commercial rights, and I think he saw his art somewhere on Twitter with an advertisement, and he didn't know he's selling commercial rights, so he got very pissed, and then he tweeted about this guy, and the guy apparently just bought his art yesterday for 12k USD or something like that. And it was quite a funny story, because basically he didn't even expect that someone will use his art as an advertisement, but it actually shows that it's important to know what you do and why you do. And like, it's the same thing like structuring any kind of business. You create some art, you may just create and put it for sale, or you may understand how people will use it, just to give them brief idea, you know. Like, if you're painting beautiful, sea coast or something, and people put it on Instagram and put it on the wall in their bedroom, then you understand how it's going to be applied. Especially, I think the more the more special art you create, the more dangerous it is to sell commercial rights, because every art, if you put out of the context, it can create a different journey and story, right? So if people will buy your art, you will become famous and they will start to do some propaganda or selling it through other ways. It's a different story. So be mindful. I don't know. Honestly speaking, for the one-to-one art, I'm also quite new to that. I still learn a lot. And basically, NFT is just a technology, right? So we now just covering a small piece of that, and it is related to one-to-one pieces, and like we are creators who create and sell our pieces because we're inspired by something. Those scams which people usually relate to and they don't understand, it's super confusing, and they have a lot of trade in volume and secondary sales. Those are membership communities, collectibles, and they now have a big hype. I believe there is going to be more into gaming, ticketing, but it's just a technology. How you're going to use it, how you're going to apply it, there are a million ways. Some people, when they say their art, they sell commercial rights, and they also sell a physical piece to that, and that's kind of a utility. Some people just sell copies. So I really recommend you to go and study artists who you actually like and see how they structure the project and try to understand why people buy. Maybe even go to buyers and check and ask, why did you buy their art? It's quite interesting to hear sometimes. Yeah, it's like a wild west right now. So when you see crazy stuff is going on, it's like, it is a crazy stuff going on right now. Sometimes I open and I see people are selling, and it's very important to understand, like, we're all emotional creatures, and with an art space, the FOMO, fear of missing out, is so high that, like, it can be a matter of couple of hours that you can make a lot of money because you discover this very young artist, and he creates 3D art, and he just created his Twitter, and he created the first drop on some foundation, and you could see people are starting to buy copies of his art. So that's why right now there is a lot of ways to innovate there. There are a lot of ways to apply your talent and creativity into the space. No one will answer you how to do things right, because no one knows it right now. Yeah, and no one was ever harmed by education. So this is my main point of this short presentation, is basically I always recommend to study before you do anything, and like if you decide it's not for you, or you don't understand, or like you feel you are scamming people, keep focusing on your physical art, keep creating. But like if you understand and you decided to stay away, it's one thing. If you just say that this is like a scam without understanding the technology, I think it's like, it's not a great way to approach the future technology. And now I'm kind of ready to the most fun part. If you guys have, we can go deeper, we have a lot of time to chat.
I'm going to ask you
Yeah.
if NFTs are only applied for pictures arting. I mean, it can be applied for music too?
Yes. It can be applied to music, it can be applied to any kind of digital assets which are stored on blockchain, and pretty much there are also trading cards, there is tickets, whatever, music. Again, every single other space is like it's another universe. I'm not into music at all. I didn't buy any NFT in music. I know something is happening there, but you need to understand, I think, to buy, to invest, and to create. So for me, the digital art is a little bit easier. Yeah, but music also there, and photography as well. Right now, just to say, people created a secure way to host ownership economy around the art, but there is no yet, we didn't discover yet all the possibilities on how it can be used. For example, right now Twitter and Reddit, they integrate ability to show your profile pictures from these collectibles as your profile. So all people who do not own like a property for that, they will not be able to use it as an avatar. And suddenly it becomes like, you know, this small mark of verified on Instagram, right? It's a big, big difference when you see someone who has like this blue chip, which nothing more, just a digital pixels, right? But in our mind, it creates such a big change, mind shift. You have more trust because you keep seeing these people with high followings who are active, and you already know that if you visit the profile of artist and he has this verified, you're like, oh, he's trustworthy, because it's not about followers, it's about like being real. So this is quite similar with NFTs, and that's how I invest. I bought quite expensive assets just because I was keep meeting people, I was talking to them from specific collections, and I realized many of them, they're actually very nice community, and I have access to them. So I bought kind of a pass for their community, and I still benefit from that. Yep.
So let's say I have an artist and I want to upload it to the NFT world.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Because I've heard that as an artist you have to somehow pay to get into the NFT world.
Yes, exactly. So here is the thing. You pay to the chain, you kind of pay people so they can store your art. So the beauty of blockchain, if you store your art in, let's say, in Instagram, you don't pay anything, but people have advertisements, they choose how to show your art to other people. There's a very smart algorithm which managing your assets, right, which you have in Instagram. And then suddenly, if they decided that your content is like, you have nudes or something, they will just ban you or create some kind of thing. This is a cost of centralization. You pay nothing, but you are being moderated by Instagram. For blockchain, people basically who own the chain, those who confirm transactions, they confirm, they host your art, but it can't be so easily destroyed. It actually can't be destroyed unless the whole chain is destroyed. So for pushing your art on the chain, you have to pay a fee, and basically this is the fee you are talking about. So when you upload your art through any platform on the chain, you will be asked fee, and this fee will be different, depends on the blockchain. I don't want to go too deep into difference why these fees are different, but Ethereum, if you want, I can go, but it's quite long conversation.
No, because I'm just really interested. I
Yeah.
know that it depends of like also the kind of exposure you want to have.
Correct.
To pay more or less.
No,
depends.
it's not
That's
the.
what I heard.
No. You pay fee based on the how loaded is the network. If like let's say if I ask all of us confirm transactions and we are just like okay something is going on, you will be writing all the transactions and every one of you have to write all the transactions, you know.
Yeah.
It's how the chain works. Everyone needs to confirm that something is happening, and then you suddenly come and you're like, guys, can you write in your notebook that I have this art? And like the more these people have tasks, the more people stay in the queue and waiting to confirm transactions, the more it's expensive. And that's why sometimes you come and you see the transaction fee can be very high, and sometimes it can be much lower. It depends on how people who confirm transactions are busy. It's not related anyhow to your art, it's only related to how busy is the network. The only problem right now is that NFTs are so hot that network is almost always busy. So I'm talking about Ethereum, where most expensive art right now, and it's the most decentralized chain. The transactions there are quite expensive because all these people who are trading NFTs, sending transactions here and there, creating their art, they just create a lot of load on the chain. That's why it's expensive.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I answer the question?
Yeah, thanks. But like, if I want to get in, should I be paying with Ethereum as well? Should I be paying with Solana or?
Okay, that's where you have to study. I personally don't trade. I don't trade on second layer chains. I only trade on Solana and Ethereum. Recently, a lot on Solana. For very expensive art, I still invest into Ethereum, but I think Solana has huge potential because I think gaming is going to drive a lot of traffic on the chain. Right now, Solana is still very early. So pretty much if you check a kind of art which exists on Ethereum and you compare it to Solana, if Ethereum is a wild west, I don't even know how to call Solana. It's like there, it's very early there, but environmental impact of Solana is much lower. Again, very technical, but the technology is way more efficient than Ethereum. That's why, yeah, if you want to submit your art on Solana, it's going to cost you nothing. So it's very cheap. You just study which platform you want to use to upload your art, and I can give you recommendations after, after this lecture.
And you kind of answered, but the question was related to the valuation of the artwork depending on the blockchain. It affects somehow the perception
It affects,
of value.
yes, of course it affects. So people study, they usually like people very blockchain opinionated. This is one. And mostly not because they're well educated, but because they are just opinionated. You know, like once you invested a lot into one chain, and you can't trade between chains, right? So let's say I have like $500,000 in Ethereum of images, right, of art. Then if you suddenly think like you want to go into Solana, you have to buy another coin and buy another NFT. So a lot of people are opinionated about blockchain because they're already heavily invested into some blockchain. So on Ethereum, I think 95%, okay, maybe I'm wrong, maybe 70 to 80% of trading is happening on Ethereum right now. Even though transaction fee, the cheapest one is around 50 to 60 bucks on every single transaction. Even if you want to send me your art just from one wallet to another, it's going to cost you 50, 60 bucks. On Solana, transactions fee are low, but there's still much more trust to Ethereum. Because of that, if you're a good artist and you don't plan on secondary sales, let's say there is more, you definitely will sell more expensive your art on Ethereum. That may affect your long-term strategy in terms of secondary sales, because obviously the more expensive transactions, the less people freely trade afterwards. So it's a question. I suggest you guys read about Tezos, Solana, and Ethereum on the high level, why one chain is more or less popular and how they're developing, and maybe make a decision for that. I don't have answer. If you would come to me and say, I have this collection you can launch, can you help me to launch it? I will give you all the input I have. I will tell you definitely you will sell it more expensive probably if you have a very good art on Ethereum, but in the long run you can't know, because for example on Solana there is very little of good art there right now. So you may be one of the first A, B or C, you know, like one of the first abstract artists who create decent art or this or that. So this is how it works.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I have like personally I'm interested in the way of how you work with editions, like from photography.
Yeah.
You know, like I sell photography like editions already, you know, like
Yeah.
I decide how many prints I will make. But in the end, like I understand from this technology that it's a wonderful thing that right now is like we know, you know, this print can just disappear or be destroyed, you know, and then you pay a lot of money for something that you won't have anymore. And with this technology, you are capable of still owning it. So how you manage, like, I'm curious about how can you manage those terms in case that if I sell you my NFT, my one edition of 10, for example, of my work, like how do we, how it works the specifics, you know, that you can do with the image? Because for me, I think it will be, it's nice if you can, you know, like if you give a proof that you don't have it anymore or it's destroyed, that you can reprint it, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't, the value is not in the paper anymore. It's not like a painting, for example, that it's a process that the painter made only one time in this specific material.
Yeah.
But for photography prints, that you can just give commands and people can do it in a specific laboratory.
Yeah.
You can like just redo the piece, doesn't matter, and you can even sign it again, or I don't know if it's necessary anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not even necessary because it's on the NFT.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'm curious about different ways that people is managing this kind of.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I know specifically for photography, but how NFT works is you have a smart contract which describes behavior of it's an implementation of smart contract, and smart contract is a behavior of items which will come through this smart contract. So for example, when you create a new collection and people mint new NFT from your collection, the behavior is defined by smart contract. That's why if you Google, for example, NFT burning, NFT breeding, there is a lot of different interesting ways you can do with that. For example, if supply of your collection is 10,000, you write it on smart contract. Sometimes you can destroy supply, and it can be done by owner, or it can be done by people who have it. for example, they burn NFT and they will have something in return. So the stuff we described at the beginning, it was a very basic use where you just have digital ownership. But pretty much the power of technology, and I think why it's very interesting that people now adopt so fast blockchain, it's not even about just owning like an image. It's about these smart contracts, because people will come up with the projects where they can create very interesting things. For example, like you said, you can burn some digital assets, create new, stack them, evolve, or something like that. For example, one of the projects I'm working on is when we have a code which generates art, and art is random based on the time when it was generated. And it's all defined in the smart contract. So every time user clicks generate new art, and there is limited supply of pieces. So artists come with a code, and we just come up with a history number, and we generate random code. Every time we don't know what will come up. Sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's beautiful. So again, education. Go ahead, try to find the most interesting photographers who already launched NFT, and maybe find Discord and talk to people who buy and see their behavior, why they buy and what's the utility, what makes them feel that it's valuable, what makes them feel that it's going to cost money. Like if you come in the chat or in Twitter and you see that everyone is just crazy and you just buy because they are like, you know, they have money, it's probably not good behavior. In the good collections where there is a structure, you can see actually people having conversation, discuss, and usually there is not so much these things in good collections. Again, photography, you see, it's your thing. I don't know there. I suggest you study and maybe try to come up with something what you like or how you see it.
Yeah, no, I have so many questions, but you know, I'm still like processing a lot from this. But yeah, definitely, I think it's very interesting technology.
Twitter is a very good thing to find good artists related to your space. Actually, everything on Twitter, all the information. It's very confusing. I started my Twitter, if you see, when it was August 2021, and I was like, wow, I'm not much on social media, but this stuff, it's very interesting. A lot of people communicate there, and the best part, you can connect to anyone. You can comment on someone's artist, and like people are super open. You don't need permission to direct the messages inside, right? You can just comment on their post, and then conversation can start. So it's quite cool. I think someone raised some hand, but I didn't. Oh yes.
Me again.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want like your opinion maybe, because and it may be a controversial question.
Yeah.
Because don't you think like it's also a game of names?
Names.
Yeah, because it seems like you say that putting it to Instagram, it's free, but they might censor it, you know, because it's Instagram who owns it. And NFTs you pay to, I don't know who, you pay the blockchain, but this money goes to somebody, I guess. And also it's like, for the artist, it might be like a loss at the end. Because if somebody doesn't have like a great name, like people, you know, and for example, like a standard artist like we are, if I have to pay every time to just put, I don't know, my art or photography, music or whatever it is, at the end of the day, I might be losing money, and I'm not gonna have the same exposure as people, and people is not gonna bet on me. So I just want your opinion on this, how good it is for artists that doesn't have a great name to just go into it.
First of all, the question is, what's your intention of putting your art on blockchain? If you want to put your art on blockchain and make a lot of money, and you know you're not a great artist, or like you don't believe people buy it for great money, you shouldn't put it there. Like, I mean, if your transaction cost is $100, but you think your art is not worth, will not worth 200, 300, like, don't do that. You'll just keep losing money, you know? It's not a good approach.
But it's like, for art, just like, you don't all the time sell your pieces, you know. I can tell from friends, I can tell from experience. It's like you won't sell everything. So if you have to pay all the time and you just sell like 2 or 3, they're gonna be like, okay, good. Like what's, you know, really the difference between that and a gallery, or why is it better this than, you know, just doing it the traditional way?
First of all, I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying it's a new digital way to own assets and to sell it. How you monetize your art I have no idea. Like I know a lot of people who are young, and they innovate. They created something quite unique because it's very early, and community is so now low level that they picked it up. If you see art, we actually had a lot of fun with Enrique, this guy who also comes, I think, here, and we were like checking out art on the OpenSea, and he was commenting from his professional view. It's very funny because right now, very low-end artists create an average work, and community is like, wow, this is amazing because the art quality is low. So of course there's always a problem of like being famous, marketing, and all of these things. I'm just saying now it's a very good opportunity for, even if you're like not Da Vinci in the art or anything, you can use this opportunity of early space to gain money. But I understand your concern, and it's quite like it's open for entire community right now about gas fees and this price. It shouldn't be like that. And that's why there is different chains like Solana and Ethereum itself. In 6 months, they should come with some roll-up which should improve the problem. I myself on Ethereum almost don't buy now art. Like that's exactly the same thing, exactly the same problem. Even I won't support an artist and you have a decent art and it costs $300. If gas fee $100, I don't want to do that because I don't believe I'm going to resell it, then it breaks economy. But it's more technical limitations because everything is moving so fast. No one ever thought that there will be so many people at the same time trying to write all these transactions. It's like if you talk and hear podcasts of people who created this blockchain, Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum, someone asked him, was like, what is the most interesting way how people use blockchain and you never thought? He was like, NFT. I was like, I just could not imagine that like this turn into blockchain because we buy emotions and story and like people just have a very, very, very big attachment to art, and finally they have a very good way to support artists without, you own an asset but it's not obligating you to hold it in your flat or somewhere. Like I invested a lot in art now, but not before because I move around. Most of the time I'm traveling. For me now it's a very good way to support artists who I enjoy and be a part of communities which share my values and my views, and I kind of proud of all collections which I have, and I think it's a new opportunity for artists. But technical limitations exist, and again there are some workarounds. Check different chains, maybe there is Polygon, there is Solana. I understand paying $100 to submit every time your art is complicated, but yeah.
You need $100 to make it start. Or it's,
no, on different chains is different. But I'm saying on Ethereum, it's where the more mature artists already submit. Right now, transactions fees are very expensive. Because of that, to submit your art, I know a lot of people who actually
do it digital, like board apes and everything. Because I'm sorry, I want to comment on your thing. If you go to Barcelona Casa Pierre and you want to buy materials to create a solid piece of art, you will spend $100 to buy materials. And then maybe you will not sell the painting, so you decide to paint to sell it. So here it's the same, but it's just maybe a bit more access to the network that is willing to pay. Don't you think that maybe it's easier to sell your art than in a gallery when you are in a...
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think it's like problem. It's not a problem, but it's reality is there is a lot of artists. There are a lot of artists, and they create. We all create, There are some which are being picked up by communities, some which are not. Some people focus too much on on art, and they don't invest into creating a story. It's like all the same rules applies. Now it's just easier, maybe a little bit because community is wild, but because this gas fees is still complicated. So I would say choose alternative chain or study artists who you like and maybe talk and try to predict why they would buy your art. I think for you specifically, because you asked me this question almost 2 times in a row, again, check out Holaplex and Solana chain. They allow you without knowledge of skills, create your store, play around. I think right now the best investment as an artist you can do is to create Twitter and start talking to people, commenting, and just posting a little bit of your daily process on how you create stuff. Community will see you very fast because this space now is full of scam, full of low quality digital art. So if you create something valuable, people will see and they will buy a thing.
Yeah, the financial side and the asset side of NFTs, it's like monopolizing the a discussion in every space about the NFTs.
Yeah.
But the creative side, and I think that people spend more time, like discussion about NFTs that contemplating the work of art.
Mm.
So from the side of creator, how is this affecting the art itself? As
It's unfortunately it affects a lot, and this is a problem that the more a real artist rejects the space, and the more it attracts people who just try to make money, the slower technology will develop. That's what I think. I have a lot of requests all the time of people trying to launch collections, and I talk to them and I see they do not understand what's going on. They're not artists, they just try to make bags and that's it. And I tell them I'm not going to support that. But the problem is still there. You know, I have maybe 1 or 2 artists who reached me out in the past 2 weeks who wanted to launch their collection, and they are real artists, but I have more than 200 people who reached me out is like, I need smart contract, I have this collection, I have these layers, let's do this stuff. And yeah, it's a problem, but I think it's education problem, and it's also a little bit of a mindset problem, because people who are into art, they have a tendency to care less about the money. So again, all this thing which I showed in presentation at the beginning, association with crypto and scam, it creates a lot of rejection. I think the more artists will get involved, they understand and invent their ways, the better will become space, and people will start focusing more on art. That's what I think. Business was always suppressing kind of, the creative part. It is everywhere like that. So I think education is the key here as well.
There's some questions in here.
Okay, what's there? Can you read me something?
Cynthia asked for the most popular platforms.
It's very good. Okay, let's go. If we talk about one-to-one art, so OpenSea is it's like eBay. So there is a lot of art, obviously, but it's not the most famous for one-to-one art. You can find pretty much everything here, but if you're one-to-one artist, I recommend you, first of all, Ethereum is Foundation. And Foundation, I think it's the one where it's kind of the easiest to get good deals. Why is that? Because Foundation allows you to submit work only if you get invite, and you can give invite only if your work was sold. So it basically filters out all the people who are not able to sell their work, and that creates a community of creators who invite creators. It's actually quite interesting because like we here as a community, if someone will submit their work by invitation, we can start spreading and creating our own network and help each other to promote their art. And usually quality-wise, it's quite not bad compared to all the other platforms. So here this platform is fully focused on the one-to-one art called Foundation. Again, take your time, go check, explore, see what you like, what you don't like. I think it's quite interesting to see. Read the stories, read Twitters. Mostly people focus here. You can see their Twitter connected, their Instagram connected. Yeah, a lot of good people. Second one is super rare, but I think it may look weird in my browser because I have some extension. Oh no, it's okay. Super rare, also collections mostly for one-to-one artists. Quite interesting one. Again, I'm not artist, I didn't use it myself, but I found a lot of interesting work which...
So one-to-one artist is like that you only sell one item?
One-to-one art is actually not necessary. I call one-to-one artists like people who creators, they don't create collections or communities, they focus on creating art and they just want to sell. You may sell even copies of your art on the digital platform, but you're focusing on creating one painting for 1-2 weeks and then you're gonna sell it or something like that. What else? Then next one is Knowing Origin. This platform. Again, take a look. Maybe they have difference in the agreement types. This one definitely you can buy cheaper stuff here, I think, and they have different agreements. When you create and submit your art, you need to be careful what they include, do not include, because what happens, we talked a little bit and touched the smart contracts behind the scene, right? They provide you with their smart contract. So when you upload your art, you upload it through their smart contract. So the way this smart contract written, it should be described somewhere. So whenever you submit, you comply with what they wrote there. So if they say everyone who uploads their art, for example, he automatically distribute commercial rights, you deal with that, right? So you need to read everything when you submit. The most advanced creators, obviously, what they do, they hire developers, and those create their own smart contract, and they create their own marketplaces, and then they boost traffic there, and basically this is the best way to do, but obviously the most complicated one. And what's important is that all these marketplaces, they take royalty. They take, for submission of the art, for reselling of the art, they take royalties from your art. So this is also important to keep in mind what kind of fees they take when your art is going to be resell. So these three marketplaces I covered is Ethereum chain. What I can say, there is also an interesting one called Holoplex. It's on Solana. And definitely you can check and see the prices on art is, I want to actually, this is my friend, he's a developer and he's selling his art auctions once a week or something. It's definitely less mature, it's more slow, but you can go, Holoplex is like it's many marketplaces of different artists. So you can go and create your own marketplace just from their platform without knowing coding skills. And Solana now is $100 or something like that. It went down recently. So mostly you already can see the difference. Mostly here art is much cheaper. You can even find 0.6 Solana, which is less than $100. But on Solana, the gas fees are zero, like 0.0001 something. So it's almost no gas fees, which kind of attractive right now because space needs a lot of transactions, a lot of liquidity, and people want to resell and buy more, but because of gas fees they struggle a lot, and that's why I think this space is going to be evolving soon a lot. So this is Solana marketplace. Unfortunately, I need to study more, maybe on the Solana, maybe something more, which kind of marketplaces exist. If you guys curious, maybe follow me on Twitter, I will post more stuff. But again, if you compare Ethereum space right now with this marketplace, you can already see the difference of the quality of the art, which creates a lot of opportunity. You can be a first artist in your specific segment, in your specific way of painting on this chain. Okay, so anything else there?
Yeah, there's another one about environment and NFT.
About?
Environment. If it's
environment impact.
friendly.
Yes, again, there are different blockchains. There is Cardano, Tezos, Solana, Ethereum. The most environmental friendly is Solana. Solana environment impact. So it all comes from their technology. Environmental impact of Ethereum is quite bad as for now. Again, there's still debates about what is worse to use your, we impact the environment in many ways, so it can be arguable, but with the volume of trading right now on Ethereum, it's no wonder that people are getting concerned about that, because those chains, they work in the way that every single, like we discussed this room where we all write the transactions, right? It works that whenever someone submits transaction, all this like 50,000 people, they need to confirm it. And because of that, and to confirm it, to prove that they're real parts of the chain, they have to do some computation algorithms. It's just a stupid work if you think about that. But they do it to confirm that they are part of chain and they want to verify this transaction. It's called proof of work. So blockchains work, proof of the work is like Bitcoin or current version of Ethereum. They're not very environmental friendly because they require every single person who confirms the transaction to compute some kind of algorithm. Proof of stake is a new, it's blockchains which prove that they have some kind of coins in their, let's say you will confirm the transaction. As a chain, I will ask you, okay, how would you prove me that you actually don't try to make anything shady with the chain? And you tell, here we go, I have like 100 million of Solana. There is no point for me to do anything bad with you. And then I will go with a room and ask everyone, okay, I agree with this transaction, I agree, and I will check everyone how much money you have. Obviously, you don't need to compute anything. Because of that, it's a way more environmental friendly. I basically just go and check how much money you have. And this is called these validators. They just need to have a lot of money, and they will sign transactions. That's why the speed of transaction much higher, and there is no gas fees. So this is, for example, comparison for Solana. A single transaction is like, it's very, very low. And computing power is used very low. So Solana is the most environmental friendly as far as I know right now. Ethereum, not really. Anything else there on YouTube?
No, there was another one, but wait, I have to check because it wasn't.
No.
So if you have one painting, you can already do the one-to-one art, because I thought that NFTs on the bot collections.
No.
Okay.
No.
And for one-to-one, it's the same that you said, depending on the chain you use.
If you guys want, we can sit down and create collections and upload on Holoplex. We can do a workshop. The only problem with that, I think, yeah, we should do that. But when we sell and we put on sale something, I think it's important to understand. When you take someone's money, you need to give him value. If you believe that you're committed to the space, you create an art, and you see value in your painting, you understand how it works, you can sell it. I don't think it's a great idea to submit to blockchain and try to sell, oh, I'm gonna sell this picture of, like a shit or a rock for crazy money, because it may be your vision, I don't blame that, but if you don't believe in your art and you just try to play with people, I think it's very bad. And it's very bad to the space. And a lot of creators do that, a lot of collections do that, and I think it suffers. If you are committed to the space, you learn, you understand how it works, you play with that, maybe on testing chain, and then you see yourself in the space creating. People invest in you not because they wanna sell your art for crazy money. They invest because they wanna see you keep creating stuff, and they believe that when you will be creating, they can pay you money. Actually, because holders of art, like I myself, I don't really want to own your art on the physically. Why would I go to my mom and everyone and show, look, it's fun. It's it's a dark art. Art I like is very dark. But I want to support you as an artist, so you keep creating. So when I open, I can enjoy it. And obviously, if he creates a collection and then he sells me and then he disappears from all social media and never comes back, I will feel bad. Even if it's $300-400. That's I think the story about one-to-one art, and that's how people make decision on investment. They are looking for artists who are who have a history before and they have a history in the future, and then they are okay, this is cool, I want to hold a piece of this artist in my wallet. And in future maybe people will come up with this metaverse where you can create NFT galleries and hang out with artists and do a lot of things.
Find artist who doesn't believe that his work has value. All artists are like Sagrada Familia, it's like in process.
I agree with that, but
no artist thinks he will stop producing. They think they own it.
I heard a lot of stories. If you ask artists, I see you painting, I was would you sell it for $10,000? You probably say, yeah, I will sell it, but do you really believe it costs this money? This is the question. If you do believe you worth this money and you create this quality art, it's it's subjective, right? Art is here, right? So if you think it's like that and you can create community of people who believe in your art to this price, it's nothing wrong with that. Even this crypto shit what people sell, we are not the one to judge. If there is a market who wants to buy it, it's it's open space. Everyone creates, everyone buys. So why not? Why not? Yep.
Two more questions, and it's about how to mint NFT and OpenSea and Solana. Maybe you could explain what's minting and how to mint
Sure.
Solana and OpenSea.
Yeah. So minting is a process of creation of NFT from the smart contract. Basically, artist uploads his art, and then you can mint his art. So let's say if you're an artist, you can go ahead on OpenSea or somewhere, upload your art, define some properties, define the supply, which we just talked about, right? If you have one picture, you can even create supply of 100. Choose your blockchain, Polygon or Ethereum, and then you can create. After that, you can schedule it for some time and announce when will be your drop. When people say my drop is then, it's basically when you open to public to mint your NFTs. Again, if you're serious to the space, usually people try to create their own website, write their own smart contracts, create their website, and create a button mint. But you can also use marketplace. Minting, how to mint? You basically find a collection which you want to mint, which is active. Frankly speaking, I don't know how to do that. OpenSea, because OpenSea is like eBay on Foundation or Rarible. Let me see. This is sold out. I think here is mostly auctions actually. You just find something on the what you wanna buy. If it's auction, you place a bid and then it will allow you to mint once the auction is finished. And if it's just live mint, it's just live mint and it's gonna be button of minting. But what to keep in mind is like every time you do any transaction on Ethereum, it will ask you for some fee for transaction, and it can be quite expensive. Again, I think we can split this session and I can come and do some trading and buy NFTs and show to people how that's happening, how I choose collections, what kind of art can we mint, how I make decisions, and I think it will be a bit easier. Solana is pretty much the same. The only difference, there is no transaction fees when we do that.
And the same guy, Kevin, asked, should I file a copyright before I mint my NFT?
Should he do what?
Should I file a copyright before I mint my
File a copyright.
I mean, depends. I think you need to understand what kind of copyright you want for your art, and when you choose the platform, you need to read everything what they put in the agreement about the copyright. Yes, actually, if you already think about copyrights and you are artists, you are like 90, I don't know, you're 90% more educated than everyone else, because most of people, they really don't get what's going on, and they're like, oh, I have this spec of my photo of 12 years old, like let's submit it as NFT, yay. And you totally can do that. Then the question is like, what kind of market you create around it?
Do you think it's possible to sell art without having community? Like, I mean, followers and all that stuff?
Yes, I think right now there's very little of good artists, and you can create new ways to structure it. Very little people understand how to structure art, how to create collections. I think collections are way more complicated than one-to-one art pieces, because collections, people don't treat it that way, but collections is basically a business. When artists create collection and he make a promise to deliver something, he commit to 10, let's say, usually collections are 10,000 pieces, 8,000 pieces, it's quite a big supply. Why is it happening? Why such supply exists? Because they want to create membership where people support, they talk, they have similar values. Once you drop it, if you don't maintain the hype around collection, you don't support it, it's like people will feel that they lost something, you know. If you're creating one-to-one piece, then you keep focusing on creation. You have one guy who has your art, you know, then he can resell it after 2 years somewhere else. Liquidity and transactionally is not so aggressive. With collections, it's very aggressive because people invest a lot of money, that's why it's so expensive, and they want to get something from you. And if you don't treat it as a business, you don't communicate, you don't talk, it like basically it's a scam. It's the same thing if company will go for IPO and then suddenly they disappear. Like people will freak out, you know, especially if they buy their shares. It's not good.
It's like you sign a contract to work and then one day you come and then you don't.
Yeah, the only difference, you don't sign anything, and that's why there is a lot of people like stealing money. They just create collections of something and they're like, okay, we will do a game one day. We don't know when, but we will do that. Yeah.
Do you think it's easier to start with one-to-one collections if you're a beginner?
I think it's more right, because making good collections is very complicated. I've seen, I don't know how many collections I've seen in my life right now, in the last 5 months, sorry, because that's when I started. It's like those which I really believe are good, maybe like up to 10. Everything else is like a scam or like semi-scam or something, you know.
What makes those collections good for you? What are the ingredients?
Different. Some of them, for example, I can talk again, not financial advice. I will just talk about stuff which I enjoy and what I have. Oh, someone dropped me something. So this is, for example, collection from Russian artists, and I just like the vibe. And honestly speaking, they're not doing a good job in terms of community management. Like I go to chat and I talk sometimes, and they're like, moderators are quite aggressive. But the girl who created the collection, she has a very consistent style, and she always creates this like. It's a collection called Sad Girls Bar, and it's one of the very few collections which has these dark vibes, like a little bit gothic, a little bit punk style. And I believe it's just one of the collections which, you know, I just enjoy seeing it in my wallet. It's like it speaks to me. That's why I invested in this collection, and also it's the only one which is in this style right now. They did a lot of mistakes. They created secondary collection and even third collections of cats or something like that, which increased a lot of supply. And I think they didn't think through how people will use it. So that is kind of a business mistake more. So people create extra supply when they see that demand is so huge that people can't afford it anymore, and they create extra layer so people can more support. But here it didn't get very hyped, and they created more. So this is one. Then second one, I like World of Women. This is also woman collection, and this is from artist from a founder from Portugal, and she created the first collection in first woman collection, I think, in the space, with very strong community, with secondary royalties. Basically, there are some tiers of this world of women. When people trade, they gain benefit from trading. So some of these items, you can actually make money when collection is growing. So it's also kind of like a business investment. What else I can comment to? Some of them, they give utility. For example, where was it? This is Land in Metaverse. This is Gary Vee Friends. First of all, I'm quite heavy into Stoicism, so I like Stoic. Of course, this is one of the most ugly things I saw in my life. But the value of that is not in art here, it's utility. So everyone who owns Gary Vee Friends NFT, they can go 3 years in a row for his conference, like a physical conference. This is basically a ticket to conference. And the community of all the audience of Gary Vee is entrepreneurs. And I talk to them, I have chat with them, and they're very, very interesting, like high profile people, you know. I think not everyone, but like most of people who stay by now, because now it's cost quite a lot of money, more than 30-40K. So everyone who is now left, they already, those who don't care much about money, they value more this conference, more community. And that was a big filter for me for this collection. So when it stays in my wallet, it goes up and down. It doesn't bother me personally. Yeah, so it's a really different thing. Sometimes some collections just speak to you, some collection is scam. So this one was, actually this collection is dead. Right now, there is no liquidity completely, but the artist is the guy who created Ricky Morty.
Oh.
You know Ricky Morty? I like Ricky Morty, so.
Yeah. Why didn't he do a collection of Rick and Morty characters?
Because he can't, I think it's commercial rights, obviously.
Because it's actually also kind of like Rick and Morty and Simpsons, they have an infinite amount of characters, so for NFT it would be perfect.
Yeah.
Because if you think, if you need to create 10,000 of stuff that look more or less similar to each other, it's like, what do you pay?
I mean, you can create whatever. That's the thing. It's like, it's not about creation. It's, you give, in collectibles, in these collections of 10K, it's also collection, the pieces is more like just if it's fun or not, and the story of art is very small. Everything behind it, the community, utility, is way more valuable. If you talk about one-to-one art, it's like, it's a story of artists, and then how you like opinion, how you can relate to that. In these collectibles, there are some assets which just have text, and they cost crazy money, and they just, where is it? So this thing is a collection of, I don't even want to go too deep on why it costs like that, because it's very complicated, but this is the collection, and it costs $5,000. So it's not about art, you know, sometimes.
But all these pieces of this collection, for example, look the same, right? It's just text.
I mean, they're not the same, but they look similar, yeah.
I mean, if you create collection, again coming back, it should have some common sense between the pieces. You cannot just create 10,000 pieces of random stuff, right?
No, of course, no. Like, I mean, you can do whatever, but the question is, like, if you can make people buy, and if they buy because it's valuable for them, or they buy because someone told them on YouTube, you know. There is a lot of things right now happening because influencers just pump and dump, and there is a lot of stories about that. For example, the space is so small, collections are so small because it's microeconomies. So it's very, very easy to speculate. If you buy not because you understand, but because you just saw it somewhere, risks are so high that it's just some influencer or celebrity is pumping it. Because if you have enough money, you can just go and buy, 1,000 pieces of 10K and just put it for a very high price and just post to your followers on somewhere. Even 40K is a very decent audience for NFT space, because if you have 10K pieces and you have 5K people who own it, you can very, very manipulate the emotions based on supply and everything. So it's quite tricky.
It's a very strange question, but maybe it's interesting. If I create an oil painting and I mint it, should I destroy the original painting and include that in my story? Will that increase the value and longevity of the NFT?
Okay, I can speak for that.
Maybe it's silly, but
Not like you need to put on the
no.
floor.
If you do a painting, what has more like the original? Because Gianfranco asked for this one.
Yeah.
That's exactly
The
what
original-
Damien Hirst did with
Yeah,
his,
exactly.
currency project.
Mm-hmm.
He made like, I think it's 2,000 pieces, which are both physical painting and NFT edition.
Yeah.
And whenever somebody buys either the painting or the NFT, Damien Hirst basically destroys the other piece.
I have no idea. It's like, I think maybe, but that is the thing. Art is about story. So if you can sell this story to people and they think it's like it makes sense for them, the original piece destroyed but copies being sold, like maybe it makes sense. I can't speak if it's gonna it depends on how audience who he's gonna sell will react on what he's doing. Some people doing like second collection of dogs and people is like, what the hell is this? But then other people do the same and then suddenly people like it and they buy. So it's very hard to predict what's going on. So there was this collections of pixel art, CryptoPunks and everything, and everyone was super sick about this CryptoPunks. But then this stuff came and it was like crypto thoughts, and suddenly everyone is just like nuts about this, which is kind of not very different, right? It's just crypto thoughts. I don't have them. I didn't study the project, but the volume of trading is absolutely nuts. 56,000 of Ethereum, which is crazy money. But again, like you can't be everywhere, and you need to study what you like. And I suggest just don't go everywhere, because if you're into photography, study photography. If you like this art, go and focus on something you enjoy, because this space is very new and there's a lot of things. If you just try to hop on every single plane and like trying to make profit from that, it will be very difficult. Just try to see what speaks to you and maybe copy or take ideas from other creators and innovate on top of that, and maybe it will work. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just learn. Who knows?
Talking about failure, because we saw it, like you were talking about how to make money with NFT. Can you give an example of collections that could be good but failed, and why?
Did I say we can make money with NFT? I say you can sell. I didn't say someone will buy.
It's my
Yeah, it's like if your focus is making money, again, it's like it's a not very great mindset.
No, but my question was like how, because for sure there are examples of people who succeed, like
Yeah.
manipulate and influence, but for sure there is collections that was promising to be good, but then it failed. Can you give
Tons,
example?
tons of collection. Majority of the space is a scam. A lot.
Something that is not a scam and it was promising, but then it fails, and why?
Yes, that's a very good question. Okay, I hope people who watch me, they will not, and they own this collection, they're not gonna kill me. Because they may still believe that it's gonna be successful in the future, but I was very bullish on this collection at the beginning, before they revealed the art and before the minting process happened. the hype of marketing and like the amount of people who were waiting for this collection was huge. But then when they, first of all, there was a problem with smart contract, which, and the issue was that they tried to prevent bots from buying it. So actually, if you know marketing and you create collection and you have a good story, the market is so crazy that you actually try to prevent bots to buy it. You don't even need to take care of people buying it. It's more like to stop bad people to buy it. That's how crazy this space is. So they did prevent bots to buy it, but they didn't prevent smart contract bots to buy it. So there was like a smart contract which was like basically doing some hacks to mint from another smart contract. And there was a guy who bought 1,000. And 1,000 is 1/8 of supply. With 1/8 of supply, you can speculate a lot. And when people saw it, they immediately dumped the collection. And that affected a lot of the collection. So this is very important that even if you're a great artist, learn before you launch. If you're a great artist and you partner with good marketing team and good tech team and you're gonna launch, if you create too much hype and you don't know what you do, people, the same way they are excited, the same way they will get, like, they will destroy you. If something goes wrong, you know, like what's going on when people mint and they wait for your art, you know, and you do promos and everything, this space is about FOMO. Like, if something goes wrong, the emotion becomes, like, it's just, then otherwise, it bounces. They will just put all the tons of shit on you, on Twitter, on Instagram, everywhere. So it's dangerous as well. So I think right now, people taking it a little bit, you know, they are creating so much hype that sometimes it's ridiculous. It's like, there was example of Metaverse collection, which is quite interesting. Japanese artist, I think, team who created a lot of stuff. But the floor price at some point was 7, which was at that time 21,000, and now it went down to 1, because like there was, Discord had 2,050k people. It was like a small city, you know, and everyone was so waiting. But when you have so much hype, you actually need to deliver to that hype. And when it got covered, yeah, it's images, it looks nice, but then there was no, like, the hype was overcreated compared to the outcome of the collection. Yeah, I also bought some art which I got disappointed which because artists didn't know how to structure. Okay, I probably will not show that stuff to do not, you know, like, not financial advice. I don't want to make anyone sad. So, anything else, guys?
Companies, brands, and companies. And
Yes.
NFTs.
Yes.
What do you think about it?
I think it's going to be very fast adoption for that. Because those people, they have money and they understand how business works, so of course they innovate also very fast, and their innovation is backed by a lot of money. So I never could imagine that it will develop so fast. I remember when first Visa bought CryptoPunk, I was like, holy mother. And then after that, all the companies started doing that. It's like, now it's very casual. You wake up and this guy bought Vogue, Adidas launched, everyone. But again, there is good and bad examples of that. Some companies, I think fashion industry is going to be huge, I'm pretty sure, because that's what you can see when people buy expensive bags and everything. This ownership economy, Rolex, it's present in physical space, and COVID pushed it to another level with the digital space. And I think it will develop very, very fast. I'm not into fashion, so I can't know which collections now is partnering where. I know Clonex, Adidas. I think Clonex was acquired by Nike, and they wanna launch something with them into Metaverse. I know Adidas Original created partnership with Bored Apes, so you could buy their membership token. Again, it's still yet to figure out what they're gonna do with that, but they're using this membership and audience to build on top of that. So right now there are 22,000 owners of this NFT, and then they will probably do secondary drops. They will try to engage. This is very smart because they spend less time on art. They created pieces and they use their audience to launch. Usually it's the other way around, like artists try to bring more audience to their art, and these guys, they already have audience and they just use their audience to monetize. And the best part is by now, for example, some 22,000 owns their NFT, and they are still learning how to use it and everything. But these people who bought it, they're already into space. So all of this is going to be, okay, not all of this, many of those probably early adopters, and they understand the space. So when metaverse coming and everything, it's going to be like it's already there, right? But it's going to be a very big rush of not just having people who will buy, having people who have wallet, who understand how it works, and they're like not emotional investors. They understand how it works, they buy, and they're early adopters. Because once people will get more digitalized into these meta universes, you will need not just people who can spend money, because there's very little value to this. You need people who understand the space and value in that, so they can reinvest and build on top of that. Because that's why the biggest thing is. That's why platforms are surviving and evolving, because you want to create tools for people who understand it. Actually, just selling is not such a difficult task. It's like you can just pump marketing and that's it. So it's like that. More questions? No. I guess then we can wrap up, have some wine, and buy some specs. Thanks a lot for attention, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and like any questions, please feel free, reach me out. I have YouTube, but it's quite technical, to be honest, and you can see there, like from the vibe of my YouTube, that I don't try to sell. Like I was learning the same as you are, and while learning I was trying to, these things I was talking about, like a ticket and bus and everything, even though I'm a very technical person, to understand how it works, especially when everyone in Rust is quite complicated. So while learning, I was trying to describe it in videos, even though sometimes it's tough to understand. I think it's important, especially if you try to sell on top of that. By the time when everyone will be understanding this, it probably will be too late to jump in without marketing skills and to get famous. Now it's a wild west. If you have something unique, and you can just create random idea and the community will pick it up, like you can get famous, you can create something very interesting. Okay, thanks for attention.